So we're here today at Blair Logie, which is in the shadow of the Damite Hill that you can see behind me. We're installing some sensors that are going to be used to underpin, validate and provide credibility to enhance weathering as a carbon removal tool.
These field trials here are incredibly exciting and important to undo because we've developed very accurate models to predict how much carbon dioxide we can sequester. And using these in-field sensors, we can measure various parameters in the soil to show that our models are correct.
What we're trying to do here by putting sensors in the ground is to track the in-field weathering signal. The weathering of basalt and the uptake of CO2 through the weathering process has been shown in lab studies, but there's a lot of uncertainty about how field conditions affect that weathering rate. Operationally, we spread with tractors, so we wanted to reproduce that in our field trial. So we decided to go with about half a hectare plots.
We've got the control plot, which is untreated. We've got one where we've applied 20 tonnes per hectare, which is the normal commercial application rate. And then we've got two higher rates as well, so we can actually see the effect in those high rates. We might see the effect, a stronger effect or a quicker effect.
The reason that we're having 3 pits in each plot is to be able to make an average, because the soil is quite heterogeneous. If you only have one sensor, you might just be in a hotspot of some sort. In each pit, we will also install soil pore water extraction tubes.
This is so we are able to collect water from the soil pore without destroying the soil. This bit, the back horizons, is the important part, and this is like an inert polymer, and this part is what is installed into the soil horizontally. We have that installed at 5 and 10 cm, so we can collect samples at different depth. This water collected here is what we analyze for cations, anions, pH, and electrical conductivity. This is important because then we can accurately say that what we're doing here is having an impact. We can trace that and track that as well.
From our modeling of the basalt weathering rate, we see that most of the weathering occurs usually within the first 10 years. But we are hoping with higher application densities that we can sort of push that forward a bit and see a higher rate in the first year or the first 5 years.
Interestingly, in some of the earliest trials that we did, what we call the phase 1 trials, we've actually seen some differences in the colour between the treatments. The treatment which had the highest rate of the basalt applied was looking slightly greener. It's likely it's because of the magnesium differences. Magnesium's essential for chlorophyll production. It's what makes plants green. We know that the basalt releases a fair amount of magnesium as it weathers. And even in these early days, that's likely to be one of the reasons that this plot is looking greener than the other ones.
We take measurements before application of the basalt, what we call baseline sampling. Then after application of the basalt, we also go back to the field and take regular measurements, which we then test to see what amount of carbon dioxide has been sequestered from this. Then we also measure other plant nutrients that we can then say these are the core benefits with the application of the basalt.
There are a huge amount of challenges when trying to detect a weathering signal in the field. It's a slow geological process, but we're taking both a lab-based and an in-field approach to build a wide and expansive data set. It's great to see your work in real life. The fact that there's a real credible, a real granular output from what you're doing here that's contributing to the global, international effort of removing carbon dioxide for the sake of everybody.